heard that, okay? Birthday is more of an age day, isn't it? It's a celebration of an age. You know, happy birthday, you're 12. Happy birthday, you're 60. Happy birthday, I'm glad you spent time with Moses. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things that it's an age celebration. And usually, from what I remember, birthday used to have some significance, that you actually remembered when you were born. I really don't care about the details when you were born. How about the 4th of July? The 4th of July is a very special day. Why? Because it was the Declaration of Independence, okay? Now, you think about what's happened, okay? Now, it's time for fireworks, family get-togethers. I've never been to a firework in any kind of city or anybody's house, but they said, hey, before we have fireworks, I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence. What's happened to that? The further away we get from the Declaration of Independence, the more it's more like family, get-together, fireworks, and we've lost the focus of what the 4th of July is. For some of you, tonight might be the first time you really knew what the 4th of July was about. Now you know. How about Easter? Easter. You guys remember the days when Easter was about dressing up and there was nothing on Sundays and the church was the focal, Easter was the focal point of the year, and how we've lost some focus with that, with our culture. How many remember that Easter was about the hats? You guys remember that? And it's like you go to church and you have to go there to see the preacher with hats, because there's all these hats out there. I remember those days. How about chocolate? Easter's all about chocolate, isn't it? About candy and gifts. And see, what's happened with our ADD culture, the further we get away, the more we lose focus on what Easter is about. And I could go on and on and on. And sometimes I think that over time, the cross has lost its meaning as well. Now, maybe not to us, or maybe for some of us, that has lost its meaning. I think that when we think of the cross today in our culture, it is so far removed from what was associated with the cross in the first century. Sometimes we actually do a disservice to our own faith because we really don't reflect on what the cross was all about. Question for you. How many of you have cross jewelry? Cross jewelry, okay? How many got crosses hanging up in your house? Pictures of crosses all over your house. We all have some of those. And if you're like me, sometimes the significance of the cross gets lost because we are so far away from the time when the cross was actually used as an instrument of execution. You know, the cross didn't become a symbol of Christianity for 300 years after Jesus died. For 300 years following the death of Jesus, it was against the rules because they had seen one in use. It was forbidden. It was not anything glamorous. It was not artistic. There was nothing about it that was iconic, and nothing of any kind of spiritual worth at all. And because you're wearing a cross necklace, or if somebody from the first century would actually go into your house and see a cross up on the wall or up on your mantle, they would look at you and go, "You're insane! Why are you wearing that?" Because to them, it was an instrument of brutal execution. And they would look at you guys out there and say, "You guys are nuts to be wearing something like that." The first century was something, the cross was something that you didn't even look at. You would go down the road and stare at a cross, and you hid your kids' eyes from it. Or if you're white, you walk by all these crosses along the road and you hide your family's eyes because you didn't want them to see it. It was something that was very degrading and very, very, very gruesome. It was truly a symbol of suffering and shame on display. The cross was used as an instrument of execution by Alexander the Great all through the Roman Empire. For 300 years past Jesus, it was a symbol of mass execution. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Spartacus or did any kind of reading about that, but the slave rebellion was put down. When Spartacus was defeated, they crucified his troops from the point of their final battle all the way down to Rome, where 6,000 men were crucified along the road. Crucifixions were not private. If we have an execution in the United States, it's done in a place where nobody can see with a few witnesses. When the Roman Empire was in charge, it was out there for everybody to see. It was on the main road. If you were to go down here to 2736 in the Roman, you would see people hanging from the cross. They had them at bridges and outside the marketplace. And Rome wanted people to see what happened to people who rebelled. It was a billboard for the strength of Rome. It was also against the law to crucify a Roman citizen. This was left for slaves and public enemies of Rome. You see, the cross that we wear, the cross that we have in our house, is nothing like it was back then. Do you know that thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of men were crucified outside the walls of Jerusalem during the Jewish war that happened around 65 to 70 AD? Outside Jerusalem, over 500 people were crucified in a single day on scaffoldings. They stopped crucifying people because they ran out of wood. The reason this is a symbol to us is not all of the thousands and thousands and thousands of crucifixion, but because of one. One. Apart from the crucifixion of Jesus, there would be no crosses. It would be an ancient symbol of something that means nothing to us. History books will just talk about it. And you look around here, you see chapels with crosses. You go in somebody's houses, you see crosses everywhere. You see art. All because of one crucifixion. Why is that? It's the significance of that one crucifixion. The importance of that one crucifixion. Now, sometimes I tend to look and read the Bible and get a little hard on Jesus' followers, especially disciples, especially Peter. I can look and read through the Gospels and say, Peter, you're such an idiot. Why would you do something like that? You know, isn't it obvious that Jesus is the Son of God? But think about this for a minute. Think about why Peter denied Jesus. You see, he had grown up in a culture where he had seen people crucified, brutalized, day after day. Did you know that on the crosses they would leave people's bodies hanging there until they rotted? Birds would come and eat their eyeballs. Scavengers would come and eat their bones. And other times they would just rot and fall off. That's what Peter saw. That's what Peter knew. And when Peter denied Jesus, and they saw what he was going to do, in Peter's mind he was thinking, there is no way he's going to live through this. Now you understand why the disciples couldn't understand Jesus even when he talked to them. Jesus said, this is what I'm going to do. They could not understand or even fathom what was going to happen. Now, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to read some scripture and let you guys see how some of the people reacted after the crucifixion. John chapter 19, verse 38 to 42. Let me read this to you. Later, Joseph of Arimathea, if I can get it out, I told you hillbilly coming out, asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly he feared the Jewish leaders. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier visited Jesus at night. And then, listen, Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 70 pounds. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Because they saw that Jesus was dead. They couldn't fathom him being alive. They couldn't fathom him coming back because of all that they had seen. Taking Jesus' body, the two wrapped it with spices and strips of linen. This was in accordance with the Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden. In the garden, a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. They laid Jesus there. You see, they had no comprehension from all the things that they see, in which the culture in which they lived, that Jesus would come back to life.